You finally get home after a long day. You're exhausted. But you still cook. You make something real, something healthy. You carry the plates to the table. And then your kid looks down, looks back up, and says, "I don't eat green things." And before you can even respond, bam! The broccoli is on the floor you just cleaned. So what do? You take a breath, you hold it together, and then the negotiation starts. Just one bite and you can have ice cream. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just walk back to the kitchen, grab the chicken nuggets, and call it a night. Because you can't let your kid go to bed hungry. Now here's what's interesting. In France, when the exact same thing happens at the dinner table, the parents do nothing. No begging, no bribing, no airplane mouth, no deal-making. And in many French homes, there is no kids' menu at all. No nuggets, no smiley fries, no special safe meals just for children. So how does this actually work? And why are French kids so often described as some of the least picky eaters in the world? That's what this video is about. I'm going to walk you through the core logic, the psychology behind it, and at the end, I'll give you one specific, practical thing you can try at dinner tonight. Stay with me. This might genuinely change how evenings work in your house. Before we get into it, I want to address something. Because I already know what some of you are thinking. This would never work for my kid. My child was basically born hating vegetables. He's just a picky eater. It's just who he is. That reaction makes complete sense. But here's what the research actually says. French children sitting calmly at the table, slowly learning to eat things they once refused. That's not genetic luck. It's not a cultural mystery either. It's the result of a specific system. Child nutrition researchers, including those connected to Cornell University's food behavior studies, have found something consistent. A child's relationship with food is shaped less by their natural preferences and more by the environment their parents build around mealtimes. Read that again. Less about the child, more about the system. And a lot of well-meaning parents, without realizing it, have built a system that is making things worse. Think about what actually happens at your dinner table. Your kid pushes away the greens, and you go into rescue mode. First move, emotional pressure. Sweetheart, I spent all afternoon making this. Just one bite. For me. Second move, a trade. Eat the broccoli, and you can watch a show after. Third move, total surrender. Fine, I'll make something else. And in the short term, it works. The kid eats something. You relax. Dinner is technically over. But here's what's actually happening underneath. You're paying a credit card with a payday loan. Because food is no longer food. It has become leverage. A bargaining chip. A way for your child to control your attention, your emotions, your whole evening. And tomorrow night, the same battle comes back. And the night after that. French parents see this very differently. They don't try to fix the symptom, getting one more bite into the mouth. They focus on the root cause. Because what looks like picky eating, plate throwing, or refusing vegetables, that's just the surface. What French parents are actually building underneath is something called food acceptance. And once you stop asking, how do I get this bite into his mouth? And start asking, how do I help my child build a healthy relationship with food? The whole game changes. There are 3 core ideas behind this approach. Let me walk through each one. The first idea, everyone eats the same meal. In a lot of families, the child becomes the center of the entire dinner system. Adults eat the real meal. The child gets something safe, bland, easy, separate. And without meaning to, that sends a very clear message. If I refuse, the kitchen will revolve around me. In France, the rule is much simpler. The whole family eats the same food. If dinner is beef stew with green beans, everyone gets beef stew with green beans. The 3-year-old, the parents, everyone. Now, if the child looks at the plate and says, "I hate this, I'm not eating it," most parents would panic. Some would get angry. French parents usually do neither. They don't yell. They don't rush to make a peanut butter sandwich. They just say calmly, "That's okay. If you're not hungry, you don't have to eat." And then they leave the plate there. They keep eating. They keep talking. No backup meal. No snack rescue. No emotional reaction. The message to the child is very clear. Your body, your choice. But this is my kitchen. I'm not running a custom restaurant. The second idea. Stop hovering over the plate. This one is harder than it sounds. Because when we care, we watch. Open your mouth. Eat faster. Chew. Swallow. How many bites left? It feels like attentiveness. To a child, it feels like pressure. And pressure physically changes what happens in the body. When people feel stressed, even children, the nervous system shifts into a state of alertness. Digestion slows. Appetite drops. In plain terms, the more you watch, the less they want to eat. French parents understand this. So their method is surprisingly simple. Cut the disliked food into tiny pieces. Put it on the plate. Then basically ignore it. The child can smell it, touch it, poke it, taste it and spit it out onto a napkin. And through all of that, the parent says very little. Here's a question worth sitting with. When your child rejects a vegetable, how many exposures do you give it before you mentally write it off forever? 3? 5? Research has shown that children often need around 15 exposures to a new food before they'll accept it. 15. Most parents give up well before that, and then label the child as picky for life. French parents are willing to wait. They allow trial and error, without commentary. Because they know, real change usually happens on exposure number 15, not number 1. The third idea. Remove the power struggle from the table. Why are French dinner tables so much calmer? Because the power struggle has been taken out of the equation entirely. In a lot of homes, the dinner table becomes a stress zone. It's where we bring up everything the child did wrong. It's where behavior gets judged. It's where every uneaten bite feels like a battle to win or lose. So of course the child fights back. In France, dinner is treated as a social ritual. Adults talk about their day, about something funny that happened, about the weather, about tomorrow's plans. What they do not do is stare at how many beans are left on the child's plate. And when you stop making every bite a test, something interesting happens. The child stops needing to refuse food to get attention. They stop seeing themselves as a rebel battling their parents. And slowly, a new identity forms. I'm just a normal member of this family. I'm sharing dinner with everyone else. That sense of belonging, that feeling of safety, that quiet knowledge that nothing is being demanded of them right now. That is what actually creates the space for a child to pick up a fork and try something new. At this point, maybe you're thinking, so I've been doing everything wrong. Do I need to completely rebuild how we do dinner? No. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start with one thing. I call it the 1 mm no-pressure exposure method. Here's all it involves. Tonight, when you serve dinner, put one tiny piece of a disliked vegetable near the edge of your child's plate. Not a full serving, not even a full bite. We're talking fingernail-sized. One small cube of carrot, half a broccoli floret. Then follow exactly one rule. After the plate is down, don't look at it. Whether they eat it, or ignore it, or flick it across the table, you keep eating your own meal. You keep the conversation normal. If they say, "Take it away," you say calmly, "You don't have to eat it." And that's it. No celebration if they try it. No disappointment if they don't. No scoreboard. Stay neutral. Stay consistent. Repeat it. Give it 3 weeks. You're not looking for magic on day 1. But you may notice something shift. Not just in what your child eats, but in the atmosphere at the table. And that change matters more than any single bite of broccoli. One last thing before we finish. The French parents we imagine, calm, patient, unbothered, they're not perfect. Their kids smear pasta in their hair too. They get tired. They lose patience. They want to give up some nights. But they tend to build one thing early: a dinner system that doesn't drain everyone in the room. They let go of control over the plate. They give eating back to the child. And in doing so, they give dinner back to themselves. This isn't a secret. It's not a cultural trick exclusive to France. It's basic psychology. It's backed by research. And it's something every exhausted parent deserves to know. If you're going to try the 1 mm method tonight, drop a comment. Just say, "I'm willing to try." And if this gave you some relief, share it with the parent who's been making 3 separate dinners every night and slowly losing their mind. Tell them this: it's not always the parent who's broken. Sometimes it's the system. See you in the next one.